What's going on, guys? Welcome into today's show. I'm your host, Patrick Seatman, and on today's show, I'm going to be diving into 4 defensive players I think the Vikings could possibly trade for following the Za'Darius Smith trade. Most of these guys are in the front 7, but I could see the Vikings maybe being active. Obviously, they cleared $12 million in cap space following the Za'Darius Smith move, so maybe Kwesi could be cooking something up his sleeve. We've got 4 guys that we'll be diving into, and starting off with probably the main guy amongst Vikings trade rumors as of late is linebacker Patrick Queen from the Baltimore Ravens. So the Ravens declined Queen's 5th-year option, which leaves most people speculating they could potentially move off him. Queen, listen, man, he is a tackling machine at the linebacker spot. 117 tackles this past year, 5 sacks, 9 tackles for loss, and he also had 6 pass breakups. You know, he's actually a solid coverage linebacker. I've always been a fan of Queen, former first-round pick. I think he moves very well. And honestly, for the Vikings, I think at the linebacker position, I do think it wouldn't hurt them to add more pieces. Obviously, you got guys like Brian Asamoah, Jordan Hicks, they'll be holding it down. And then obviously you got the UDFA, Ivan Pace, who I'm a big fan of. But adding in a vet like Patrick Queen, I wouldn't be too opposed. But it's going to come down to draft compensation, what you're going to give up. So I said this, a second-round pick. I think a second-round pick could get it done for Patrick Queen. You can make this a 2024 second-round pick. Honestly, if this is the trade, I'm probably leaning towards yes. Obviously, it's going to be tough because if you were going to give up a second-round pick for Patrick Queen, I would want the Vikings to extend Patrick Queen and not just have this kind of be a one-year rental type of player. I would love to see Queen next to Asamoah and then Ivan Pace. I mean, they would be fast, versatile. They would also know how to hit pretty damn well too. But answer today's pinned comment on today's video. Do you want to trade for Patrick Queen? Give me a T for trade or give me a P for pass down in the comment section. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break right now. Sit back, let it play, and let me know your thoughts on the Vikings potentially trading for Patrick Queen. So number 2 on this list, big name here, Quinnen Williams, the defensive tackle from the New York Jets. This guy is an absolute dog. I am a huge fan of Quinnen Williams and everything he represents just about himself. He's a good personality. He's a good locker room guy. And plus, he's an absolute monster at the defensive tackle position. He's a game wrecker. He's kind of got one of my favorite archetypes in the NFL in terms of being able to stop the run, but also be a pass rusher at that defensive tackle spot. So it's kind of speculating these rumors. He wants the bag. He wants to get paid by the New York Jets. And there hasn't been really any cooperation from either side. And right here, if you see his bio on screen, it says defensive tackle for blank, blank, blank. So he's kind of maybe throwing the Jets a little shot here. And he also retweeted Schefter's tweet saying or about Dexter Lawrence getting paid almost $90 million guaranteed. So Quinnen Williams, he wants a bag, and frankly, he deserves it. I mean, this past season, he put up ridiculous numbers. I mean, anytime you're getting 28 quarterback hits in 16 games with 12 sacks, with 12 tackles for loss, and 55 tackles, this guy is awesome. I think he is one of the better defensive tackles in the league. And frankly, if the Vikings were going to have to trade for him, obviously it would take some first-round picks, but I would pay him. I would pay him that $25, maybe $30 million per year that he is looking for because he is that special and he is that dominant. Honestly, if I'm kind of looking at my favorite type of defensive tackle archetype, it's mainly the type of archetypes that have killed the Vikings in the past. I mean, it's those guys like Akeem Hicks, Kenny Clark, those types of players that can stop the run, kind of be that clogger in the middle and open up lanes for linebackers, but also on those key passing downs, you don't need to take them out of the game. You can keep them in the game, and they can make moves, and he's got a pretty solid kind of set of pass rush moves in his arsenal. I'm a big fan of Quinnen Williams. I would be all in on paying for him. It would take a lot to obviously get him to the Vikes, but I'd be all in. This is a question I'm kind of curious about. What player made you fall in love with the Vikings? I was actually talking to my dad the other day, and I was kind of talking about kind of how this Vikings roster is really turned over. And really the players that I kind of fell in love with were the Harrison Smiths, were the Adrian Petersons. So my answer to this, I'd probably go Harrison Smith. He made me fall in love with the Vikings, just the way he plays football at that safety position. He is just so dominant. But let me know, what player made you fall in love with the Minnesota Vikings? Number 3 on my list, bit of a shocker, bit of an out there, kind of reaching on this a little bit, but Khalil Mack. So there was a report that came out that obviously the Chargers could be looking to clear some cap space and move off of Khalil Mack. So talk about it. Could the Vikings potentially be moving draft capital and getting a guy like Khalil Mack? This past year, 8 sacks, 50 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, and still had 12 tackles for 12 TFLs this past year. Khalil Mack, especially when he was on the Bears, man, he dominated the Vikings. He was one of the best edges in the league and, frankly, one of the best defensive players in the league. But, again, I doubt the Chargers move him. I think the Chargers are kind of all chips to the center this year. They're going all in. They still have Herbert on that rookie contract. They want to get the most they can out of it. And I think the Chargers are going to be trying to just kind of go all in on this 1 year. Obviously, going to have to pay Herbert a ridiculous amount of money, so take advantage while you can. But they could be wanting to clear cap here. You know, you never really know. They still have, obviously, Joey Bosa. They like some of their younger edge pieces as well. So could they be moving off Khalil Mack? Probably not, but something to just keep your eyes on is maybe the Chargers kind of don't start the season the best, and you can maybe they're 3-5, 3-6, or whatever it may be, and before the trade deadline, they decide to move off him. But guys, we gained 100 subs on yesterday's video. So first off, welcome to everybody who has subscribed so far. Turn on those notifications if you haven't already. But can we beat it on today's video? You know, we gained 100 yesterday. You know, I'm a pretty goal-oriented guy, so maybe we could beat it again. If you guys are new here, it's a free way to help us out. Just go down there and hit that subscribe button. Guys, we also still have these great Jordan Addison jerseys available for you. If you go to chatsports.com/Vikings jersey, Addison's not going to be wearing number 1 this year. He's going to be wearing number 3. So if you go there and you get yourself a jersey, it's going to come with the number 3 on it. So don't worry. Go get them right now. Chatsports.com/Vikings jersey. Number 4 for me is Ed Oliver. And all these guys are obviously defensive linemen, obviously then Patrick Queen being the linebacker. Because I do think if the Vikings were going to make a move, it would be for one of those guys. I think it would be for a guy in the front 7. I think they're pretty set offensively and happy with what they have there. But Ed Oliver could be an interesting one. Obviously, it was more he hasn't really lived up to his first-round kind of potential. But I'm still a fan of what he has done in the NFL. Obviously, the stats, there's nothing to kind of blow you away by. You know, only 34 tackles, 9 TFLs, 3 PBUs, and 2.5 sacks. But I still think he is a solid player with a lot left in the tank. And frankly, I don't think it would take too much to get him. I think you could move a 3rd-round pick possibly to get a guy like Ed Oliver. Again, I think the Vikings, I think they're a couple pieces away from that defensive line to really having a dominant group. They would get a guy like Ed Oliver. Obviously, a guy like Quinnen Williams would really change it. But pairing up like a guy like Harrison Phillips next to an Ed Oliver, hey, maybe you could reunite the Buffalo Bills boys for the Vikings defensive line because the Bills have always had a solid defensive line unit. But Ed Oliver, he's number 4 for me. Patrick Queen, Quinnen Williams, Ed Oliver, and Khalil Mack are the 4 I went with. Yeah, these are 4 trade targets. Shout out to Trace. Queen, Williams, Mack, and Ed Oliver are the 4 trade targets I think the Vikings could possibly be looking at after trading Za'Darius Smith. If you guys made it this far in the video, give me a skull down in the comments section. I really do appreciate everybody who watches all the way to the end. And if you guys haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Keep you in the loop with all Vikings news and rumors. See you guys next time. Skol Vikes.